Mrs. Bemke. Hello to your students. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Susie Muniak. I am the Assistant Director at Medina County District Library. So that means I get to actually work upstairs on the third floor in the library, but I get to come down to the main branch and visit anytime I want, which is a really cool part of my job. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take a little virtual tour around the library. We're going to show you some of the tasks and jobs that many of the folks do for us here at the library. And if you have any questions at all at the end, you can let Mrs. Bemke know and she can get those questions to me. Now you guys are in a really cool spot. You get to see some behind the scenes footage of some cool things at the library you might not normally see. For example, did you know we're in the library right now? If you take a look, this is something the public almost never sees. This is our book drop room. At nearly all of our branches, especially here in Medina at the main branch, we have a drive-through book drop. Now we just reopened our libraries, and due to COVID-19 we have a bunch of very specific rules and procedures we have to follow. So this means that our drive-through book drop is only open on certain days. So right now it is only open on the weekends, and members are welcome to come anytime that weekend to the drive-through book drop to leave us their items to return. But then we don't touch them. Usually we would have pages or clerks, which are two different positions that work here at the library, and they would be in here multiple times throughout the day, and we would have little bins that would be filled with these items, and they would sort them and they would check them in right away to make sure they weren't still on somebody's library card. These items are going to sit here for 72 hours, so that's 3 whole days, in what we call quarantine, and that all has to do with all the rules with COVID-19. When the quarantine is completed and finished, then we have our staff come in and start sorting through so they can check the items in. So I bet you didn't know this is what a whole weekend's worth of returns look like, which gives you an idea of how many items we have to touch and process on a normal basis. Something else about our tour today, I'll talk about our collection. When we say collection, that means any of the materials or items we have in the library. So our collection are the movies, DVDs and Blu-rays, our video games, all of our books and magazines for all ages. That's what our collection is. It also includes all of our technology that we loan out to the public, including our tools and tech, which can be cool things like we have a ukulele, we have some video cameras you can rent, and also we rent out hotspots. So that gives you an idea of all the materials in our collection that we process, check out, and return on a daily basis. This is highly unusual and something that we're all getting used to. So if you want to follow me here, we're going to show you some more behind the scenes. So over here is the workroom, and this is where we have our pages do a lot of work. So our pages are the staff that do the shelving, and we would grind to a halt if we did not have our pages here in our house to help us out. So though they clear the book drop for us, they also sort materials. So when all those items come up off the floor, they're going to get sorted onto carts. And they get sorted just like this. So you can see behind me, that's a lot of carts. I would say that book drop that you saw just a moment ago that's on the floor would take up 13 to 15 carts total. So think about that. How long do you think that would take to shelve 13 or 15 carts full of materials and items? Now, one of the main things that we do with the pages that's really important that they have to learn is how to sort them. So we have a cart that this will be just adult books that go where the novels go, where the made-up stories go upstairs on the 2nd floor. Then we might have something sorted with all of the music CDs. We have a whole section just for music CDs. And they do all the sorting first before they then go upstairs, and that way it's easier for them when they're shelving around the library. In the main branch here at Medina, we have 2 whole floors. That's a lot of ground to cover, so we need a lot of pages to do that. So we have usually about 16 to 18 pages at any time that are employed, and they have different shifts throughout the day. Sometimes they're here bright in the morning, early before we open, and sometimes they're here until we close. So there's different shifts, and they're all helping with the book drop. They're all helping get the items sorted and organized, and then they're working with lining up the carts and keeping track of who's taking carts where. All of our pages shelve all the items, and they all cover all the different departments. So that means in the children's department on the first floor, that means in the teen department or the movie section where we have what we call AV for all the music and the DVDs, in the adult section where we have Nonfiction by the computers, and in the fiction section where we have the novels. So we have a whole bunch of departments, and you have to be really good at knowing what goes where. Something that's really cool about being a page, you really get to have a really nice front row view of the collection and all the cool different materials that we have. You really get to know the library well too. If you have to shelve all this, you're the first person that's going to know where something is in the branch, and that's a pretty cool thing to be able to do, especially in a branch this size. So we just really appreciate our pages. We really appreciate the hard work they do for us every day, and boy do they keep this library running. Something else I like to mention to people is, you know how we all have a house address? We all have an apartment address where we live. If we get mail, that's how people know how to find us. It's how things are organized. So how do you think we organize our books? Well, our books have an address. So the way we like to say is when you're looking at a bookshelf at the library, that's almost like looking at a street or a line of apartments. And that's how we have the books shelved. Some of them are alphabetical. The ones that you're looking at right now, these are all alphabetical. They tell you what section they go in, and then we go by a last name. So you have to be able to alphabetize. And then there's some other books, like these guys over here. These are what we call nonfiction. So they actually have a number, just like a house number. Just like when there's an address and you have the numbers listed on a street, the books sort of have their own little mini address. And they'll get sorted, and then when we shelve them, we have to make sure they're all in alphabetical order, or they're all in numerical order the right way. Otherwise, we won't be able to find them later on when we need them. So it's a really important part of being a page and making sure to be very accurate and make sure we're putting things where they go. Because the whole point of a library isn't just to put things away, but to be able to easily find it later when we want to. Something else that we have the pages work on that is very important, and then we get a lot of help from our clerks on this as well. They do something called a pull list. Has anybody ever placed a hold on an item at the library? So maybe you called us, maybe you went online yourself, and you put an item on hold. And then we let you know, okay, your hold's available, come on over and get it. Well, someone has to go out and find that item when you make the request. So the way that works is there's a list every morning that we come in and we print, and we break it up. So there's a couple pages, physical paper pages, that we then hand out to the pages, the people, and they break up all these tasks, and they go out like a fleet of people to find all these items that you guys have been requesting. When they find the items, there's a whole process with the clerks that they go through to get them lined up and ready to go. Now right now we're open, but we have limited hours, and because of COVID-19, we have some new services that we've been trying. So we're trying curbside service right now, which is something that we can do to pick up a hold. But we also have something called anytime lockers, and the anytime lockers are really kind of cool. In fact, we actually might take a walk over there and take a look if Tina can follow me. And you can see where we put things that get loaded, and that way if we're closed, you don't even have to come to the library. You can just pull up after hours and your item's sitting there checked out, ready to go. And if you ever want to request a hold, or you want to request a pickup for an anytime locker or curbside service, all you have to do is call your local library when they're open, and they can help you out with that. Do you want to take a walk down here with me, and I'll show you where that is? So as you can see, pages are very busy and have a lot to do. And this is all part of our workroom and our workspace. We get lots of deliveries from lots of libraries, so we need a lot of space to work behind the scenes. And back in here in this little secret location is where we have the anytime lockers. So this is sort of the back side of it. And you can see these lockers are lined up. We open a secret door in the back when we have a hold that's available for somebody, for an item that a member of the public has requested. We load it in the locker, and we check it out to their card, and we process it in a computer, so that when the member shows up, all they have to do on the other side is type something into a keypad, and then the locker pops open and they're ready to go, which is pretty cool. So I think that's a neat thing to know about that we do here at the library. And we have clerks who work here too, and the clerks help with checking out items and getting them loaded in the locker. The items also the clerks also are the people who check in all those items and all those returns that you saw. They have to actually scan every single item to make sure it gets returned so it doesn't show up on your library card. So now we're going to take a walk around here and head on out, and we're going to look at the lobby and see where the checkout desk is. So follow me. So here we are in the lobby, and this is our checkout desk, and we're going to walk around the corner here. And just so you know, we're closed for the day, but we still have some staff here processing and working on some things. We have a few of them right here, working on those returns. So although we have that drive-up book drop that we're using, we also might have people come in during the day to return items, and if it's not a day the book drop's open at the drive-thru, we have a whole process for how you can bring in your items. So don't worry if you ever stop in and see us, you can still bring in your items during the day. And this is the desk where people would line up if they want to check out something, if they want to get a new library card, if they have a question and they're not sure where to go in the library, they might want to come here first. And we'll have people here working on returning items and doing some work while they're waiting for the member to call or walk up and ask for help. We also have self-checks. If you guys have ever been to the grocery store, just like at any grocery store, Giant Eagle, Bueller's, even Target has them now, we have self-checkouts as well. So if you have your library card with you, you can actually use the self-check too. And sometimes staff have to help with that too, so that's a good thing that the clerks can come over and help you if you ever get stuck and aren't sure how to use that machine. All right, we're going to keep walking. And kind of like I mentioned before, we have a collection that's very diverse with lots of topics and subjects for all ages and all tastes, all interests. We want to have a nice wide variety to meet the needs of our members and our community. And that means we have a bunch of different age levels. So I had mentioned upstairs on the second floor is where our adult and teen departments are. But we're going to head over to one of the very fun areas of the library, and that is the children's room. So bright and colorful. And things look a little different than you might be used to seeing. And again, that's just because of everything with COVID-19. We're being extra cautious and following all our guidelines that we've been given. So if we don't have little plexiglass set up just like you see at the grocery store, we have a lot of that. You might have seen that at the checkout desk. We have that in some of our other departments too. Sometimes we just have tables up to kind of keep people back so that we can have what's called social distance and have space. We also have markers on the floor to show people where to stand if they're waiting for help. And since we're closed, you can see the desk looks a little empty right now, but normally we'd have plenty of folks here ready to help you anytime you come in. So we've talked about clerks and how clerks check out items and check items in and do a lot of really important work here at the library. We have talked about pages and what pages do at the library. They do the shelving and getting items put back on the shelf or get them off the shelf when somebody has placed a hold. And then we have associates and librarians. And they work in all our departments to offer programming and different services and help you when you have a very specific question. And one of those questions might be, I need a book. Can you help me find it? Well, this is Miss Gail. Gail, are you going to be part of our video today? Cool.
Yeah, me.
And excuse me, I'm not wearing my mask. I should be, but because I'm recording this, I took it off, so I'm going to stand way back here. But Miss Gail is our children's supervisor, so she's a librarian who's worked here. How many years, Gail?
I've been here almost 7 years. I started in 2013 in August.
Okay. And she does all sorts of fun stuff here at the library, as do all of her staff. So if you don't mind, could you just kind of share a little bit about what you do and some of the programs and things you offer for people?
Absolutely. So normally we offer some story times and different programs in-house. Since COVID-19 happened, we did offer some story times virtually on Facebook, and we are looking to continue to do that now that we are reopened. So we are talking about doing some other programming that way as well. Feel free to take a look at those programs on our Facebook account and on Instagram as well, social media, and that information should be posted on our website to get the word out. And we have all sorts of fun things here in the children's department. We have books to check out, movies to check out, books to listen to, magazines, comic books. You can learn fun facts. You can read a fun story. We have picture books. We have some nice little areas to just sit and take a look at a book. We also have our friend Wilbur over here. Wilbur is 2 years old this year. He just celebrated a birthday in June. And everyone loves to come and say hi to Wilbur. He's a guinea pig. He's a male guinea pig who lives here at the library, and staff take excellent care of him. And everyone loves to just come and see him. He might be showing off a little bit for the camera.
So not only do the staff over here in the children's room get to do story times and plan programs for kids and have all that fun, making things, doing stuff, teaching them, they also get to play with a guinea pig once in a while.
Absolutely.
But that means they have to also take care of him. So that's another job responsibility they have. They have to make sure he's got food and water and bedding. And like Gail had said, normally we'd have lots of story times and programs here in person. But right now we're working on trying to offer things online since we're not able to have crowds together yet. So the library is open for business and happy to help you find items and do anything you need. But it just looks a little bit different than what you might be used to. And so that's just a couple of the examples of the careers you can have here at the library. You can work at a reference desk and offer help like Miss Gail, which also means you get to plan and present programs and have a ton of fun doing it, because that's one of my favorite things to do at the library.
Right.
You can be a clerk who is doing a lot of important things like checking items in and out, but also helping with passport services, answering questions, answering telephones, and all sorts of other clerical work that we need to function as a library. You can be a page, which is like one of the main reasons we still function, because if we didn't have them, we couldn't get items back on the shelf. And many, many more positions and different careers in between in the library. So that's kind of a real basic overview of some of the different jobs that we have here. If you guys have any questions at all, again, my name is Susie. I am happy to answer any questions, and I'm sure Mrs. Bemke is right there, so I will hopefully chat with you and meet some of you soon. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope that you learned something.